Everyone working hard or hardly working?
Before everything else. I've had a busy day. Right, let's crack on. So, right, mindset, mentality when it comes to sort of selling on Amazon, treating it like a side hustle to a business. So I think it's really key that a lot of people, when you first start selling on Amazon, you sort of get into it with a side hustle mentality, and you sort of think, oh, I'm just gonna make an extra couple of quid here and there and just see how it goes, which I think obviously fine when you're first starting out, because everyone does the same thing. You don't really know like what's going to happen with it, like how much it can possibly grow, what it can turn into. So I think that's obviously very normal when you're starting out. But I think the more and more you get into it, I see it a lot. People still treat it like a side hustle, even though they're like a year or two down the line. They just don't give it the attention it needs and sort of deserves. And then they wonder why they sort of get a bit stagnated and they don't grow, and they sort of just stick to where they're at. So I think it's super important after when you start making decent money, like a couple of grand a month or whatever. I think it's super important to start taking the business seriously and start actually treating it like a business and not just like something you're doing part time as a little hustle. Obviously, you can still be working on it part time and stuff like that, but I think it's so key in order to move from one step to another. Let's say you're doing, I don't know, 20 grand a month revenue, and then you're sort of stuck in that sort of space. If you start treating it like a business and then start implementing sort of processes, SOPs, everything like that, and then you start having a different mindset of how you're running it day to day, you sort of have a structure and stuff like that, it's going to it pushes you to the next level, because you can really get an idea as to how the business is performing, what's actually going on in the business, especially if you're I know so many sellers, even like big sellers now. Like I know, well, I'm not going to say actually, but I know some sellers, and they don't even record like what they purchase. They don't have a clue. They'll just spend money. A lead comes in, they'll buy it, and then hope it turns up. They have no records of whatever they're purchasing, anything like that. All they do is go through QuickBooks or Zero, reconcile anything there. But realistically, if they're missing units or anything like that, they have no idea. I know people who large sellers as well who don't do any reimbursements at all. So if Amazon lose stock when it gets sent into the FBA, and they're, I don't know, missing say 4 units, they don't even look at it, they don't even chase it up. And it's mad really. And I guess it's that sort of side hustle mentality, whereas you could be losing so much money, or not even just losing money, but like you're leaving so much money on the table just by not treating it seriously. And as soon as you start doing that, then you'll see such a huge difference in the business. And it's just about putting structure, processes, SOPs and stuff in place. And it could be just as simple as, I don't know, write down everything you're buying. And then if nothing turns up, or if you're missing units, it's just having a process in place to chase those units up, whether it's chasing the prep center up, or chasing the supplier up, or getting reimbursements from Amazon and stuff like that. And it's just having, yeah, a process in place that enables you to do that. And then after a while, you'll end up growing and having a lot more different sort of processes in place, which sort of covers everything. And it makes everything run a lot smoother, and it makes your job a lot easier, meaning you can spend time doing other things and concentrate. And instead of your, I don't know, faffing about trying to find a unit from a supplier and stuff like that, you've got everything in place, so it sort of runs smooth, and then you can concentrate on the higher sort of ROI tasks and stuff like that. I don't know, Sean, have you got processes, everything like that in place? Like, when did you start taking it more seriously? Like, did you did you always have the sort of side hustle mentality as well?
Well, my career background was developing and making sure staff hit KPIs. So from the beginning, I was doing KPI stuff. I use Airtable for all my systems and operating procedures. And if I'm doing any task, the first thing I do is if it's repetitive and it's the same thing each time, I write it down and I make sure our staff can replicate it easily. I mean, look at McDonald's. You mentioned it yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. And I think having stuff written down, it makes it so much easier when you then go to outsource as well. Like in the private label space, it's all about building up a brand and building up a system and a company, a brand which you can then sell on and then sell on to someone. But nobody is going to buy the company if they don't have a clue what's going on inside the company. So in order to sell that company, you need SOPs in place for absolutely everything you do. Otherwise, a company's going to look at it and think, well, I have no idea how to do A, B, and C. So you have to write it down, give them instructions, say, right, this is how we do absolutely everything in the business, so they can come in and just take over like that. And
Yeah,
it's
and
all
the
that.
other thing, sorry, just to add to that as well, uh, just going on a bit of a James Sinclair method of thinking, you should build every business with the intention to sell it, even if you never plan to sell it, because the idea is you're creating the foundations of a great business that, you know, let's say you were trying to sell your business. If you were doing every single thing without a written procedure, you know, the person looking to buy can't buy you. It doesn't work like that. So you have to have processes in place. And if you're looking to really expand and turn it into a proper business, you have to be able to onboard new staff quickly without you having to spend all your time training each new person, because you're going to find what a lot of people do is they invest all of their energy into training someone who doesn't work out, and they've just wasted 3 months of their life when, you know, if you'd been keeping track of your SOPs, you could have just handed them a week's worth of training material with videos and everything. And if it doesn't work out, at least it hasn't taken your time.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was getting at. So like you're writing all this stuff down, although it's very different to private label, it's still good to have all that stuff there, because as soon as you start hiring VAs, whether it's a sourcing VA, admin VA, purchasing VA, whatever it is, if you've got all the processes written down, it makes life so much easier, especially for admin tasks. Like my admin VA, I've got a video of just a quick Loom video, like no more than 5 minutes long. It's a lot of them less than that. And it's just a quick video which just goes through exactly what I need her to do. So there's about 20 videos, and you've got, say, one for purchasing. How do you purchase? And I'll get up a product, go through the purchasing process. Quite everyone knows how to purchase. Everyone sort of buys stuff online, and just go through that. And then another one, how to upload inventory into the Amazon Seller Central. Another video which just goes through that, and so she can see exactly how to do it, what to do, and it just made the process so much easier. I didn't have to sit on the phone with her for hours on end, showing her how to do all these things, training her to do all this. I literally said, right, these are the videos, watch these videos, and you're almost good to go, essentially. And it's the same for sourcing VAs. If you're thinking about getting a sourcing VA, just when you're sourcing, just record yourself and then just do a screen record. It doesn't have to be amazing. You're not going to show anyone. You're only showing the sourcing VAs, and then just record yourself sourcing, what you're doing, like what you're sort of speak about, what you're thinking about when you're looking at products and leads and websites and stuff like that, and then just have it in a video, and you've always got that then. So then you can just share that with any other sourcing videos which come on, and if one that doesn't work out for a reason, you've got another one coming, and then you've got the video there, you can just pass on to them. And it makes life so much easier, just having all these little things in place, just to make you, I guess, you'll thank yourself, and your business will grow a lot quicker, and it'll be a lot more smoother to grow if you sort of action these things.
You have to also remember that how you learn isn't the same way as how everyone else learns. So a lot of people like a video, a lot of people like written text. I'm quite lucky. My partner, who I do this with, she does the SOPs for her job because she's still working. And what we like to do is we like to have a short, sweet, to the point video at the top of the page, and then we like to condense the kind of steps of the process down into bullet points and simple sentences. It shouldn't be paragraphs of text, because I don't know if you've ever looked into the psychology of reading, but humans don't like to see paragraphs that are more than 2 or 3 lines long when it comes to instructional kind of stuff. So there's a bit of a mentality that you should have that if your SOP is too confusing for the VAs that you bring on, it's not that they're not intelligent, it's that you haven't made it simple enough that anyone can understand it. So having the video there, having even the transcript of the video can help, but then having bullet point text underneath it. And, a lot of us are going to be working with Filipino VAs. So sometimes you can even get that translated into ChatGPT just to make sure that they fully understand what it is you're asking them to do. Jack's just asked in chat, how much is Loom and is it worth it? Loom is fairly inexpensive and it's good, but if you're trying to keep your business lean, which you should, you can just record videos and keep them in a Google Drive. Obviously, the Google Drive is going to fill up with storage pretty quickly. Loom is good for getting transcriptions and breakdowns and everything. So I'd say if you have a team of VAs, it is good, but if not, don't worry too much.
Yeah, you don't really need lens to be fair. You can, like you say, just use your camera on your PC if you got one, and just there's a record. Most likely, if you got like a Mac, you got a recording software anywhere and stuff like that, and just record yourself. But yeah, Loom, I paid for it for a bit just because the amount of videos I did. But now I've just gone back to the free one. You can only record up to like 5 minutes, and you can only have like 25 videos on there. But it's pretty helpful, especially for doing videos like this. It's really really helpful.
What I
I
would say, Reese has just put the pricing in the chat there. What I would say is, though it is very affordable, you will learn that your monthly expenses are an incredibly important thing to track. And these softwares, even if they're individually quite cheap, when you get a lot of them, those costs do build up. And I was really into testing every software when I started the business. So I realized at one point I was spending like 500 quid a month just on software. It wasn't like a consistent £500 a month, but I was testing everything to see what worked. And I came to the conclusion a lot of it, you just need the base ones. You just need Keeper, Stellar Amp, Loom you can do with recording your own videos. What else is there? Maybe a repricer when you get past a certain point.
so I was gonna say I'll tell you a mad fact about subscriptions and how much they add up. So last in July I was doing my or August I was doing my end of year, and I broke down every single expense I did for the year, and I looked at every single one of them. And there was so much on there which I did not need, I never used, or it was just unnecessary. I cut back and I managed to save 15 grand a year just on subscriptions and stuff which just wasn't needed. And it was mad. Like the amount of money I used to spend on stuff which, yeah, like Loom was one of them. Like I was paying like 12 quid a month, whatever it is. Didn't need it. There was what else? There was just loads, and it just added up. And it was at the end of it, I was just mad, just throwing away like 15 grand a year just on subscriptions. And they, trust me, they add up so quickly. You think, oh, it's 20 quid here, 10 quid here, 30 quid there. And then before you know it, you were deep in subscriptions. OF on the business card. Uh,
Everything's your
um,
business expense if you're clever enough.
yeah, definitely. So Adel said,
Honestly,
"Oh, gone."
you'll be able to preach this more than anyone else in this chat, except for maybe Gravy. But when you start to do big numbers, the small expenses don't really register. They don't give you the same psychological impact as when you're beginning. And say you've only got 500 quid to your name, 15, 20 quid a month, you have to be conscious of that. But when you're doing tens of thousands, or in your case, hundreds of thousands, it kind of doesn't register in the same way. But the impact of the build up of all of them cumulatively is still the same. So yeah, if there's one thing I can say from experience, it's like work really hard to keep your business lean. And one thing we actually just fairly recently implemented is at the beginning of every new month, my main VA and myself will go through our profit and loss, and we'll make sure we're not spending money on things we don't need to be spending money on. And if we are, like, yeah, okay, that charge is already gone, we can't get it back, but let's make sure we don't do it next month. And I know that sounds silly because it's like, how could you accidentally spend money on stuff? But stuff does pop up, and you forget about it.
All the time. That's why having a profit and loss every month is so key. Like I've got that in place. Every month I just look at it and just see exactly where everything's going and think, wow, did I really need to spend that much money on whatever it was? And then I've cut back, like since getting my P&Ls, I've cut back so much. And it's been yeah, super, super helpful. So I think I say this on every calls. If you don't get P&Ls from your accountant or bookkeeper, make sure you get them because they are so important.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
right, Adam was saying, I don't really understand this to be honest. You're gonna have to break it down to me like I'm seven. How do you set acoustic TA with retailers for RO, for accounting, slash bookkeeping? How do you set accounts with retailers for?
You should just to say, when you're buying from retailers, you should never be using your own name
That's what I was going to
in your
say,
billing.
yeah.
Yeah, in your billing address, never use your same name because you like getting audited by HMRC is very rare, but Starmer just introduced 5,000 new HMRC auditors. And one thing Amazon sellers get wrong is they use their personal name on their billing address, and HMRC doesn't accept that. They see it as you're trying to claim expenses on both your personal and your business. So you should always do your business name in the first name and the last name. So it could be, if you only have one word as your business name, just do that plus LTD in the surname. And always make sure your billing address is your registered business address. If that's your home, then it's the same thing, it's fine. But if it's not, make sure that's separated.
Yeah, exactly what Sean said, because it wasn't an audit when I did my first VAT return. It was a big, hefty old refund. And when they asked for a load of invoices, I sent them over. They questioned why a lot of them were, had my name on it and why they were sort of aimed at me rather than the business. I said to them, a lot of businesses, a lot of checkouts don't allow you to put business names on there, so I just put my own name. And luckily, they never actually came back with anything. But I know someone else who was in the exact same position, and he had the same thing. They asked him, "Look, why is your business name not on there? Why are they aimed at yourself?" He told them the same thing, and they wouldn't allow him to claim that. And yeah, they wouldn't allow him to claim that on or claim the VAT back off of those invoices, because they didn't think they were for the business and more for personal use. So he got stung quite badly there. So yeah, super important. Try and have your business name on your billing address always.
Yeah, so Jack, in the delivery information, it's totally fine to use your own name, that's fine. But in the billing address section, it should always be your business name. Some retailers will give you the option to do first name, last name, business name, and then you can check a box saying if you're VAT registered. For the ones that don't offer that, don't put your name, just put your business name. It would be business name in the first name, LTD in the surname. That's quite a big thing because if you are unlucky and do get audited, that will be a problem. That's what you just said there. If your billing address doesn't match your registered business address and your company name, Amazon won't often accept those invoices. So, a lot of people, I actually have a friend who spent about 3 grand on an ungate for a product he could sell, and he couldn't use it because he used his residential address by mistake, and the invoice was wrong. And if you edit the invoice to make it seem as if you did it right the first time, Amazon can see the metadata and they can see that you've actually changed the document, and that can get you in more trouble. There's very smart ways around that which I've never done and I'm not sure how to do, but yeah, you have to be very careful to make sure your registered business address is your billing address.
Definitely, definitely. Is that only for when you become limited? Um, Yeah, because when you're a sole trader, right, you being the person is the business, which is generally if you're a sole trader, it's your name is the business name sort of thing. So yeah, it's only really applicable for limited companies.
Yeah, sole trader, you're claiming back the taxes on yourself anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, your expenses are yourself, so it's not applicable to sole trader, just an LTD. So I think Adam, I think just because of what we just said, but it's not an issue for returns because your delivery address can be whatever you want. It's only billing address that you have to be careful with.
Jack's asked how many VAs have you got? I don't know if you're talking to me or Sean.
Yeah,
I've
I think
got
that question popped up when I was talking about it. So I've had quite a few VAs. I've again a bit of career history. I used to do the interviewing in my former job, so I've done literally couldn't tell you how many interviews. I've interviewed so many VAs. One thing I'll say to you is if you find someone who is enthusiastic, is cost effective for you and your business, puts in the hours, really strives to impress you, and is trustworthy, try and find a way to pay them. That's my opinion because finding good stuff is so hard. And I don't mean that just for VAs. I mean that in my previous job, finding good people was so challenging. Right now, I'm lucky. I do my business with my partner. Her little sister has come from Venezuela to study in the UK. We've actually brought her to uni here. She's helping us with work. I've got a video editor, some marketers who help us with Seller Smart, and I've got a right hand woman who's my main VA. I had a couple of other VAs recently, but I let them go because they weren't performing and they weren't trustworthy. For me personally, this is a small thing, and Sam, I don't know if you think I'm a bit overboard with this, but if someone is unwilling to go on camera and talk to me, I don't trust that. Especially when they're working from overseas, I need to be able to see the people I'm working with to develop trust in the relationship. And yeah, I had a bit of trouble with that with a couple of people, so it just didn't work out for us.
yeah, I've had yeah, I agree. So I've got three. I've got one admin, two sourcing. I share the sourcing VAs with a few other guys. I used to have them all on my own. But now they're split between there's a few of us, some guys I speak to all the time. So we share both of them. So that's good. But yeah, like sure, I've been through so many VAs. I think not last year, the year before. I think in 1 year, I think I went through like 10 VAs just to find the perfect one. Um, I as soon as you can sort of just tell, like Sean was saying, you want them to be enthusiastic and you want them to actually show like they care and they're willing to be invested in the company. And if they don't show any of those signs, then yeah, it just is not worth it. Just get rid. And yeah, it took me a while to find the ones I've got. And I had a similar situation with Sean. I had one real dodgy VA, real dodgy. Like I'll get on camera with her, and it was quite hard just to even get on the camera with her. And then when she was on camera, I would ask her a question, and then she would look to her right or left, and then wouldn't say anything. And then it was if, and then she would be on mute, and it was if someone next to her was then feeding her answers. So she'd then turn back, lift the camera, and then give me the answer, and it was all very weird. And like she sent me her passport photo and her driver's license photo were two completely different people. One of them was like 20 and pretty slim, and the other one was like 50 and like probably 10 times the size. And I was like, this doesn't even make any sense. The bank address, the bank details she gave me weren't even her own name. It was all very, very weird. But yeah, you want them to get on camera. Like mine don't anymore, so I'm not that fussed anymore. They've been with me for one's almost 3 years, the other one's 2 years in a week actually. So if they don't want to get on camera, I don't really care anymore. But at the start, I was always good to get them on camera just to see that they're paying attention and just to see what they're doing when you're having a conversation with them. But after a while, you sort of get that trust there, and yeah, they're all good. So where do you go find the VAs, Garden and Sean?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I've worked. One of the reasons I know Charlie is because I used CLS and it was very good. Obviously, CLS isn't around anymore. Very good timing though, because we're actually going to be introducing a VA service within Seller Smart fairly soon. You can imagine that all of us collectively have interviewed a lot of people, so we've got a large network of workers. So I can't say for sure when that's coming, but it is coming soon.
Stay tuned. Get your admin and sourcing VA soon.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but yeah, yeah, I used CLS as well when it was around and it was good. But after that, I just sort of found them myself. A lot more work goes into it though with the interviewing and the hassle of it all. But yeah, stay tuned for that. Right, all's time, 7:30. Let's run through different quarters very quickly, and then we'll finish up on the Q&A. There's a few questions in the group we can go through.
So, Stewie Costa said, I'm very new to selling on Amazon. I'd be very interested to know what held you back most in scaling your business.
What held me back most in scaling my business is probably capital. Capital's always the issue, I think, because I've always got a lot of leads and I've just never got enough money to buy them. And I think if I had more capital, I'd go a lot deeper on certain products. I would probably buy more wholesale products, and that would definitely help me scale. But yeah, I think definitely it's generally always capital, because I think time you can sort of outsource a lot of send these if you have too many. Um, you can generally a lot of stuff which involves time, you can outsource that, so it's never too much of an option, a problem. And it usually always comes down to capital. If you had more capital, there's so much more you could do, and I think that's probably the only thing that's been holding me back the most, really. How about you, Sean?
Yeah, to be honest, it was the same thing. I think every Amazon seller gets to a point where capital, well, any business owner gets to a point where capital is the biggest hindrance. In the beginning, so anyone new who's listening to this, in the beginning, you have more money than you do leads because you're still learning to source, and it's quite frustrating. But then when that dynamic swaps to you having more leads than capital, it's almost more frustrating because you feel like you're leaving money on the table that you can't access. Um, but yeah, the other thing I would just say is if you're going to scale with debt, so with Amex, with credit cards and everything, just make sure you've got a solid game plan that you trust, because I know quite a few people where it's gone tits up. And I myself, Sam just said he would do more wholesale. Something I've said in our social media before was that I had a consistent banger with wholesale for ages, and the second I dropped 11 grand on it, was our biggest order. Amazon joined every listing and crashed the price on all of it. So I was making a loss on that product for 3 months. Yeah, and it was it wasn't the best time, as you can imagine, but it's the ebbs and flows of business. You've got to just you've got to remember that when things are going well, it's time to like position yourself so that you can weather a bad storm. And when things are going badly, that's where most people would quit, and people with grit are the ones who succeed and make it through. So you're going to have highs and lows. Just keep going with it. Uh,
Definitely.
okay. So next question: what has made the biggest difference to your business?
What's made the biggest difference? When I went full time, that was the biggest difference. There's 2 points really. So full time was the first time the business really had a huge difference. I was going from, I think, like 40K a month revenue, and then as soon as I went full time, like a month later, I just doubled that. I was doing like 80K onwards, and I think and that was just having more time, not having to do my 9 to 5 job and sit in meetings and answer emails and stuff like that. I could just spend all my time on Amazon, and the business just blew up. And I think I've spoken to a few people who are in the same situation. They've gone full time recently, and everything's just like doubled, just because you've got so much more time to work on it. And it's just, yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. And then secondly, I think getting an admin VA, that's changed the business a lot. That honestly, that was the best thing I think I've ever done in Amazon, is getting an admin VA. And I don't know why I didn't get one sooner. The amount of workload she took from me when getting an admin VA was just unbelievable. It just frees up like so much time. Like purchasing, I absolutely hate purchasing. Like I hate it. To purchase a load of deals the other day, and honestly, I just couldn't be bothered in the end. I just closed the laptop. I was like, I cannot keep doing this. This is killing me. And just doing stuff like that, it just made, yeah, huge difference.
Yeah, I think again, not to be repetitive, but I'd have to say a similar thing. Being able to work on it full time. There's a guy in the group that you guys might have seen the successes of, Caleb. I've been telling him to go full time with it for weeks and months because he's very good at what he does, but he's still working a job. And I think you can't comprehend how much more you can achieve when you're not drained from a 9 till 5 that you don't care about. It's not even the work hours. Entrepreneurs like us, we work like, 12 to 18 hours a day, depending on the day. And I personally don't feel tired by the work. But if you're working a 9 till 5 where you're just like dreading it and not wanting to be there, that is going to take your energy from your business, which is where it's needed. And yeah, again, not to be repetitive, but finding a my right hand woman, finding my VA that I can trust, the amount of the amount of time I've spent by delegating tasks that I shouldn't be doing, manually filling out spreadsheets or investigating customer queries, is not really something that a business owner should be doing. When you get to a point when you can afford to delegate that, I would say that's also a very big game changer. You kind of just answered this. Anything you wish you'd done sooner? It was a admin VA for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, admin VA, definitely. That's what I wish I did sooner. It just makes life a lot easier. Apart from that, I don't think I would have done anything else sooner. Everything sort of worked out quite well. In terms of timescales and stuff. I think, yeah, just having that admin VA would have been, yeah, would have been a godsend a lot sooner, I think.
I'm gonna jump between the questions in the community and the questions in the chat just because we've got some good ones there. So Ines has asked, "Do you think holding stock is underrated?" And I'm gonna say, without a doubt, 100%. All the people on Amazon who do very, very well are the ones who have the capital to hold stock for when morons come in and break the prices. If you've held stock and you can wait it out for 3 months, you're gonna make money on it. As long as you're not holding it for too long and it's eating into your profits with storage fees. So yeah, if you've got the capital to do it, obviously there's a lot of people scaling with Amex, so they can't hold their stock as long. So I would say it's definitely worthwhile. What do you think, Sam?
100% agree. Holding stock is great. If you can afford to do it, you will make a lot more money in the long run. I think it becomes where you'll get to a certain point and you're struggling to scale past it. And the only way to do that is to start going deeper and holding on to more stock. And it's very hard to get to a certain level without being able to do that. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, definitely, it is definitely underrated. And yeah, but again, it's a capital problem. Like not everyone can afford to do that. A lot of people are heavily up to the eyeballs in loans and Amex payments. They need to churn stuff through as quickly as possible. But if you got the yeah, if you got the capacity to be able to hold onto stock, then yeah, definitely do it if you can.
Ben has asked, "How do you structure your day?" Sorry, how do you structure your day being full time? So I'm going to kind of approach that question in both ways. If you're working a full time job and if you're working full time on your business, uh, I'm I don't know if I have ADHD. I think I probably do, but I'm a lot more comfortable when I have discipline and routine. So for me, I'm a 6 a.m. riser. Any hours I have spare, I'm not watching Netflix. I'm not gaming. I'm working. I'm studying. I'm constantly trying to improve things. So if you're working a full-time job, if you're serious about making this a business, in my opinion, your mindset should be getting rid of TikTok, getting rid of socials, stop gaming, invest your time really heavily into building it. And the mentality of that should come from sacrificing now to be free later on. If you're referring to structuring your day being full time, then that's a bit tricky for me because with Seller Smart we have multiple businesses. But I would very much say that if you're just referring to Amazon, have a certain amount of hours in your day that you put to sourcing, a certain amount of time that you put into your day to reimbursements, a certain amount of time in your day to doing your prep or checking in on your prep center to make sure everything's going well. Uh, always schedule time to learn. I can't stress enough how valuable reading business books are, how valuable, staying on top of YouTube and checking on the industry, because whether we like it or not, politics is affecting business all around us. So, whilst I wouldn't waste my time doom scrolling on politics, having an understanding of what's going on in our country specifically helps me understand how it's going to affect businesses. That's the kind of way I like to structure and spend my time in my day. What about you? So, Sam actually has kids, so I can imagine it's a very different story.
Uh, First time in the morning, I'm struggling to even wake up and drag the kids out of the house. Then after that, I can concentrate. I think, so how I look at it, I do the most important things which I need to get done first. So whether that's reviewing deals in the morning or having meetings with the BAs or anything which is like a pretty high sort of ROI task, I'll always do that first thing, and that is generally reviewing deals, and then so the more important things first, and then after that, just get like less and less and less, because I feel like in the morning I'm more ready to work and sort of smash stuff out, and then the later on in the day I end up getting a bit restless, a bit bored, and then end up wandering off and doing my own thing, and then things get sort of left. So I think whatever you know you need to get done and you want to put a lot of effort and time into it, then do that first thing.
Chris Williamson has a really good speech about how when you've got a thing to do the thing. So doing something else that's productive is not doing the thing. Going to the gym instead of doing the thing is not doing the thing. So I'm a big advocate. Like, I have a bodybuilding background, love structure and discipline. I love training, and sometimes business gets very stressful. So I think everyone should set time to exercise in their day. But if you've got pressing tasks that are a priority, try not to procrastinate with productivity. Try to just do what you need to do. And if you're struggling to do what you need to do something harder that you don't want to do, and then go back to that thing. Because I know a lot of people struggle with procrastination. So yeah, there's a lot of really good material on YouTube of how to overcome procrastination. Eat the frog. I don't know what that means.
Me either. I'll take it. Right, Jack's saying, how do you get past a rev mark you have hit for 2 to 3 months? So, and what do you all enjoy the most about Amazon, and what do you hate the most? Don't say Amazon bots. So, I guess to start on the second question, what do I enjoy the most? The freedom, flexibility to do what I want when I want. That will always be the top. I would, the only reason, I do Amazon is because I have the flexibility and freedom. I can go on holiday when I want. I can do what I want whenever I want to do it, and it's all down to me. And it's luckily my wife, well, not my wife, my partner doesn't work. So if we want to go on holiday, we can. Like every year, I go to Ibiza for 4 to 6 weeks, and I wouldn't be able to do that if I had a 9 to 5 job, or didn't have the freedom and flexibility. So that's always best thing. What do I hate the most? I hate the most. Wow, yeah, seller support. But I think how capital intensive it is. I don't particularly like that, just because in order to grow and get to a certain level, you have to invest every single thing back in the business. And it eats up so much capital. Like the amount of money I've got sat currently in Amazon on stock it makes me feel a bit sick. And I wish there was a way I could sort of just withdraw it all and have it in my bank. It would be lovely. But I think, how capital intensive it is, that's not really something I enjoy, but it's something that needs to be done. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, we're see, you can see why we partnered up with Sam with Seller Smart to merge the servers, because we're very aligned in mentality and outlook. But it's the same thing. The freedom the freedom from becoming self-employed was just it to me. I know this sounds a little over dramatic, but it was like I'd been in a prison that I didn't realize I was in. And I'm a super optimistic, happy person, but removing that element where I have to work for someone else in a job that's stressful and I don't care about, I didn't realize how much of a toll that had on me until I became self-employed and every decision and responsibility was on my shoulders. I just felt so free. It was just so relaxing. And although I do wake up early in the morning, not having to wake up unless I want to is just incredible. So yeah, that's one reason. I guess that's not Amazon specific. It's more being a business owner, but Amazon was the thing that showed that life to me. So yeah, I do love that element. The thing I hate the most is something that I think is slowly changing, but when you have a platform as big as Amazon, why do we as sellers not get told straight away if we can't sell a product? This is obviously going to be nuanced, but surely Amazon can implement a system where when you're trying to add the product, it says, sorry, it's restricted. Only limited sellers can sell this. You need to raise a ticket to show that you got permission from the brand. That way, we wouldn't spend loads of money on stock that we can't sell. I don't understand why that isn't implemented widespread. I see it happening on more ASINs, but it's crazy to me that that's not a thing. If a brand is an IP issue, the onus of that shouldn't be on us. It should be on Amazon slash the brand to let other sellers know that they can't sell it.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's probably a long list of things we hate about Amazon, but I don't think we're not long enough on the call to go through them all.
Yeah,
Um,
no. I can tell you for a fact as well. I've tried a lot of things. People always see the grass is always greener. Every business model has hurdles. Every business model has problems. If you're trying to sell on your own website, just to get customers to that website, you probably are going to be dependent on advertising through Meta or through TikTok, and they're headaches in themselves. So don't think that Amazon is uniquely challenging and bad. It's just business is hard, and it takes tough people to make it through.
Yeah, 100%. Like I see on Twitter all the time. Like there's some guy he does sells on his own website, and he recently Stripe they like put a hold on all his funds in his Stripe account, and there's like hundreds of thousands of dollars in there which they wouldn't let him have. He's got people to pay and stuff to do, and it's they just wouldn't let him have it for whatever reason. So I think it's every business has their issues. We're certainly it's not just the Amazon sellers, but yeah, it's business unfortunately. And then how do you get past the red mark you have hit for 2 to 3 months?
That is it's kind of case by case depending on your
Yeah.
business. Because it depends on like what the stock that you're ordering, how quickly does it arrive? Because if it's taking weeks, then maybe trying to find stock that takes days to arrive could help you. If it's are you spending too much of your business capital and not reinvesting it? That could be a thing. How's your sourcing? Can your sourcing be improved so that you can find more products to buy? There's quite a lot of elements to that question.
Yeah, it could be seasonal as well. Like you could look at Feb and March, and they could be the same. But then they're always going to be very similar anyway, just because of the time of year it is. And then you'll get to April, May, and things will start speeding up again and getting back to normal. So I think it's hard to really answer, to be honest. There's so many different variables as to yeah what it could be.
So this is not a sales pitch, and we didn't plant an S to say this, but he said, "Tell us more about the VA service. How would it work?" So yeah, yeah. So as I said previously, we've interviewed so many people. Reese and I particularly have a lot of experience in conducting interviews, so we know the right kinds of people to look for. What we're planning to do is very soon we're going to be releasing lots of content for people in the form of a free course We're going to have mentorship coming out fairly soon. And part of our kind of development side of Seller Smart is going to also be a VA training service to go along with providing VAs to people in the community. So we plan to give them pretty advanced training, teach them all on our advanced level stuff. And yeah, we're working very closely with, we're doing a bit of a test run at the moment with a couple of people. And we're very conscious that we don't want to give low quality employees to people. And I know a lot of people prefer to work with VAs who have experience, which, in a small scale is easy to do. It's much harder at scale. So, yeah, well, I can't really give too much away other than it's not going to be too long. We are hoping to make it a pretty good addition to the community because you literally can't succeed. Well, let me rephrase that. You can't grow a massive business without a team. You can't do everything solo. Even as good as AI is getting, you only have so many hours in the day, so you need a good team. And in this business model, that's with VAs.
And what's the most important things you track day to day, week to week, month to month? Bad for not really tracking anything. So I think for me, the two most important things I track are spend. That is key. I track spend every single day because I know what I need and what I want to hit for the month. So that's super important. And the other thing is reimbursements. I am really getting on top of reimbursements from Amazon, and I'm trying to reimburse every possible thing I can get. I've got a big old sort of database in place which I set up, which just purely tracks reimbursements, whether it's from stock which hasn't arrived to the prep center, stock that hasn't arrived to the to Amazon, damaged stock, which is like customer damage stock, which has come back from returns, stock which they've said they've returned, like a customer return, like a removal order, but it hasn't actually been sent. And honestly, yeah, every single type of reimbursement I am tracking. But yeah, they're the two things I track. Yeah, like all the time.
Yeah, it's same. It's just your spend on a weekly, monthly basis. I think Sam has already stressed this point, but you can't imagine how much money you will lose with lost, damaged, or stolen stock. So you really should keep on top of that. And a lot of resellers focus so heavily on finding the next thing, finding the next lead, when actually focusing on replens is super important. So having a good system to make sure you're never running out of stock that you do have, that's really great. You do have to be a little bit careful because Amazon has changed, and because of storefront sourcing bots, it used to be that if you found a good product that didn't saturate in competition, then replanning it was a safe bet. Now it's kind of like it hasn't become saturated while you're selling it the first time, but it might do the second time you order it because it's pinged on all these bots. So yeah, it's it's one of those things where replanning is super important, but you also have to be a little bit cautious.
Hey, do you have a reimbursement sheet to share? I don't really, just because it's tied in pretty heavily with the prep center sheet. So it's quite hard to share it externally. And a lot of work has gone into it. I think we can have a little chat with Sean and Reese. Reese has been a bit of a whiz with spreadsheets the last few days. So we could look at see if there's something we can create and get that get that sent out for sure.
Yeah, we have a free purchasing sheet. So for anyone who doesn't track anything, we have a free purchasing sheet. There's at least a really good start. And we have an advanced paid one coming out that should cover a lot of the basis. So adding reimbursements to that is actually a very good suggestion.
Reimbursements are automatically sent by Amazon now anyway. Unfortunately not, mate. Don't believe everything you read. Amazon might think they are, but me and Sean were having a conversation earlier today, and that is not the case at all. You need to be on top of it. There's so much they miss. And yeah, it's definitely not automatic in the slightest. There's a lot of things which go into reimbursements as well, like something which isn't going to be automatic. If a customer Say a customer returns a printer, the printer's got no ink, they just return it in a plastic bag, there's no cables, anything like that. Amazon aren't going to reimburse for that because in their eyes, it's a customer damaged. Whereas I know because it's got no ink, it's got no box, it's got no paper, it's got no manuals, cables. I know I can get 20 quid max as a reimbursement value for that item because it's missing all those things. Amazon are never going to automatically do that. And even with the stuff Amazon loses in their warehouse, they still don't automatically do that. They might do it occasionally with some things, but they miss a lot. So yeah, definitely do not think that that's done automatically because it's far from the truth, unfortunately.
Yeah, part of the free course, the free training guides that we're releasing, there's a pretty thorough reimbursement process, including the new portal for reimbursements. And yeah, as Sam said, if you're covering your basis by doing it yourself and checking that portal, you shouldn't lose too much money. But think about it from Amazon's perspective. If every seller just trusts them to do it, whether they do it willingly or not, there's a lot of money that could go missing that they end up keeping. And whilst I would never say that they do that, I would just say I'm not trusting of anyone else with my financials, and I don't think you should be either, except for my accountant. But you get what I'm saying. Don't trust them with your money. So Adam said so. It will be VA training. So it's a bit of both. We'll have trained VAs that we provide to sellers, and also, if you have a VA that needs further training, that is something we will be providing as well. Just going through the list. What model are you all doing? OA, RA, wholesale, A to A. So for quite a while now, I've just been using the software that we're developing. It's not released publicly yet. So I was doing a lot of A to A for a long time. I still do bits of wholesale. I haven't touched OA for a while. Sam, you're a lot of A to A and OA, right?
Yeah, all OA and A2A, probably like 75% OA, the rest A2A. Yeah, that's all I do. I've been doing a bit of wholesale the last few weeks, in fact. Thanks to Gravy, Chris Gunkel, he's left the call now. But yeah, Gravy's got some good wholesale leads, which I've been buying the last few weeks. But yeah, apart from that, it's mostly OA and A2A.
So, would you get an admin VA to deal with it all? As discussed earlier, getting an admin VA changed the game for both of us. I couldn't recommend it more, but I'm not going to sell you a dream. You have to be able to afford an employee, just the same as having a prep center will change your business completely, but there's no point doing it if you can't afford it. So, depending on your current financial situation, an admin VA could be a really good choice. Obviously, it's obviously down to your financials. And yeah, admin VAs do cover returns and damages. And Sam and I both have our admin VA also covers purchasing. I think quite a lot of people used to have like a purchasing manager, but admins can do that. So you can house all that under one.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
You don't have to have a full-time admin VA either. I know a few sellers who share one VA between three of them, and she or he, I think it's a he, does admin for all three of them because it's depending on what level you are, you probably don't really need a full-time admin straight away. Like mine works full-time. She busy. But if you're doing say like I don't know 50K rev or less than that, and depending what sort of tasks you're doing, if they're not doing purchasing or anything, then you can easily split that cost between two or three people, and it'll make it not a lot cheaper and a lot more affordable and worth getting really.
yeah, so Adam's asked, how much do you pay an admin VA versus a sourcing VA? Again, that's entirely down to you. I think when we do a VA service, we'll probably set an expected salary. You have to remember that these are real people. A lot of them with families and kids. So we don't want to be like Western guys taking advantage of underprivileged people from underprivileged countries. But I would say in general, sourcing VAs do tend to earn more than admin VAs. And that's usually down to what Sam just said. Admin just doesn't take as much time. Quite often you can get away with paying an admin VA for 4 hours of work per day, maybe even less than that, depending on your situation.
Yeah, I think the sourcing VAs get paid more generally as soon as you start adding bonuses and stuff in the mix as well. Then that
Yeah.
yeah, they start earning a lot more there. Like my sourcing VAs, the salary is pretty much the same. It's just the bonuses which really sets them apart really.
Yeah. And if you have an admin VA, don't forget that they will be making you money in the form of reimbursements that they get you in. So that is it's not a complete sunken cost to the business.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how quickly they can make the money back for their from their salary, really.
We've got a massive, massive checklist of stuff that we haven't gone through, but it's been a really nice chat. I'll go back to the question from the community. Can you give tips navigating post-Christmas period? That would be great. Listings are tanking due to a high influx of sellers and not winning the buy box. Are people doing anything differently in the way of sourcing? Are you focusing on higher ROI, more specific niches, lesser known stores, etc.?
Just don't. From my point of view, it's that it is a slog. It is terrible. It's the worst time of year. Feb, March, absolutely terrible. Hate it. It's the same every single year. If you can get through these 2 months, then you can get through any month in Amazon. I think it's just a case of riding it out and just knowing that it's going to be pretty terrible. Don't get too cut up. The fact things aren't selling. The sales generally are a lot slower. People don't have any money. They've spent it all over Christmas. They know what to pay back credit cards and so on. So it is just a terrible time of the year. I think I you don't want to go as deep during these months because, like I said, the sales slow down quite a lot on a lot of the listings. Yeah, you definitely don't want to go that deep. Try and spread your eggs a bit further wide, and then just it is just a case of slogging it out and riding it out. To be honest with you, don't go deep, go wide, slog it out. Know that it's gonna be pretty painful and pretty terrible, and things will start picking up again end of March, April, and they'll start going back to normal. But there's not really much else to say from it. I think people panic because they're not getting the sales and their revs are not lower, so they start tanking stuff just to get things moving. Then listings go to shit. So it's just, yeah, ride it out. It is a slog, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would just add to that. I would just say learn to read Keeper. There are going to be products that sell constantly throughout the year. Those are called evergreen products. So looking out for more of those. You've got your regular, everyday usable products, stuff like tea bags and things like that. Those are going to sell consistently all year. So trying to focus on more of those in Q1, I think, is a good idea. And don't forget that even though Christmas is over, January is often really, really good for a lot of sellers because of January sales. But yeah, I think we're in a time where the economy is really bad. People always spend more money than they have over Christmas, so Q1 is inevitably going to be slower, and it's slower for the whole platform.
Yeah, if you want any more questions,
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'd say is not just focusing on Q1, but Q1, I think people get so excited by Q4 sales that they forget it doesn't last forever. So see Q1 as a period where you're really refining your systems. Even if you're just by yourself, you can always learn to do sourcing better. You can always create SOPs for yourself and for your VAs if you have them. So see Q1 as a time to really make things efficient, cut your expenses if you're spending too much on stuff. And Q2 it will pick up, Q3 it will pick up, and then Q4 I would say to plan for as early as you can, because a lot of people over Q4 the most common feedback I hear all the time is that I wish I'd have bought more. So that just goes to show that if you've read your keeper data correctly, hitting the beast is the challenge at that point in Q4.
definitely. Jack, we'll do another one. Yeah, next week or the week after. We'll definitely try and we're trying to get him in as much as possible, at least one a week or one every other week. There'll be another one where we'll discuss something else. Not sure yet, but we'll keep you guys updated. And yeah, we can definitely look to do sort of a live sourcing session at some point as well.
Yeah, and also I'm I'm a bit delusional with what I'm hoping to achieve with Seller Smart, and I know the rest of the guys are as well. So I really want to make these live Q&As very exciting and engaging for people. I want to bring on really good guests. I want to give as much value as possible to the community, just because we're so grateful to be doing what we're doing. Like we all love everything with the server, and when I say we all, I mean Cal, Reese, Sam, and I. We all love it. So if you have ideas for guests that you want us to bring on, if you have topics that you want us to talk about, if you have pain points that you're struggling with, live sourcing is actually something we've discussed that we'll probably do fairly soon. Just let us know.
Right. I appreciate everyone jumping on, and we will see you all again soon. Have a good evening, everyone.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Thank you for joining.